All right, guys, what's up? I'm Connor Ferguson here with Eric Bridger to my right. Might switch later on. We're gonna have Matt Moro on. Great episode. I'm so excited for this one. One of my good friends down at Knoxville. I called him a Knoxville staple on our promo tweet about it. So really excited to get to that. We're gonna talk Carson McCarl into the Iowa Barnstormers car. Shout out to them. I'm not wearing my Barnstormers shirt today like I typically am when we do the podcast anymore. But that'll be a fun group to talk about and see on the track at Knoxville next year. And then the PA Posse Sprint Car Series. Hey, JoJo, what's up? JoJo asked me to text him before the show started. Well, I think we just can't say that for the first 5 minutes. He asked me to text him and don't forget. And I send out a round of texts right after I do this little promo read at the start and then play the intro song. And then I go copy the link and text the people on the list that will get it. So if you get the text, JoJo, I didn't take you off, but appreciate you listening. What's up, Josh? Appreciate you tuning in, buddy. So we'll get to all that, and I need to get the ad read out of the way, and then we can get into everything. But we're once again brought to you by Chris Weiser and the Weiser Companies. Love Chris. He came on during the Knoxville Nationals and made our 10 days of the year just a little bit brighter. So bigger, brighter, whatever you want to call it. So really thankful for his support and what he does for us and what we're going to be able to do for him in 2026 and hopefully beyond as we keep going with this Always Race Day thing. So really excited to get this one kicked off, and I will stop yapping. I promise you guys. Let's get it done. I got a whole strategy, JoJo. I do the theme song. I crack the beer in the middle of it so that no one hears it crack unless I'm trying to make a joke. Then I ask Eric about Illinois athletics, which typically goes better than what it would go today. How you doing, Eric?
Well, better on Saturday. Better usually than it would on Saturday, but it's going okay. It's been kind of a quiet week so far. But yeah, we'll see what got Turkey Day coming up pretty quick, and we'll see how that goes, and watch a little football, and then might be a little racing on too as well. So
we do have a USAC midget tonight. Is this one being called Turkey Day? Does anyone know?
I think it is called Turkey Night.
This is the Turkey Night Grand Prix.
I don't think it's happening tonight, though. I think it happens on Turkey on Thanksgiving.
No, well, this year it's Saturday. And I think last year was Saturday, but the year before that it was Thanksgiving. So I'm no fault to you. But Bakersfield tonight down at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. You can play that track on the Outlaws video game. My buddy Brad was hyping it up, talking to me about it. I've played it before. I haven't not played it, but fun little joint. And then Ventura Raceway on Saturday, which is the most picturesque dirt track in the country. Is that fair? Someone's going to get mad. Probably someone from Pennsylvania, but we'll get to that. No, should be a fun night. Kanan McIntosh, I believe, has that title wrapped up. Has he announced 2026 plans officially?
I have not seen anything, but if
I don't think he has. So I'm trying not to speak out of turn because I'm doing three things at once. But I would not be shocked to see him in a win car.
Is it coming from cannonballnews.com?
Is that his website?
No, it's just making a joke.
It wouldn't surprise me. It's an effective nickname. When it's used against you, it does sometimes fittingly. It does bite you a little bit, but all's fair in love and war, or whatever the hell they say in that book. What's the biggest news? What do you want to lead off with? Because we could go on a bunch of different topics here before we get to Matt, and we're gonna knock them out quick, and then I'm guessing Matt will be on in about 10-15 minutes here.
I say Marks with the crew chief split. That was pretty big news.
Yeah, and it does get our judgment gets clouded because that happened 5 days ago. Now it's Tuesday, right? Like it's a whole whole thing with the news cycle, but Brent Marks has basically quietly split ways with his crew, that they've been very successful together over the last 4 years. They've won a historical big one, Kings Royal. They've won at Knoxville, I think multiple times in that stretch, among a ton of other big races, and they've been one of the most winningest groups together. And now crew chief Heath Moyle will also be gone. So, one, I don't know who you're going to go get because there isn't a ton of big name guys out there, and that's okay. I mean, that you can turn a guy, an unnamed guy, into a success story. I'm wearing an Iowa State shirt, so I'm going to bring up Fred Hoiberg. Probably not the best racing example, but I am curious as to see where they're going to go, what they're going to do for 2026. It's obvious that Brent wants to take it to another step. And that's also kind of scary for the rest of the field because he's already pretty damn fast.
Yeah, it was interesting. Listening to the Dirt Tracker podcast the other day talking about it. He had mentioned that Brent was up there in money won for prize money and championship money up there with some of the top tier drivers. So, I mean, over their 5 years, I think they had won over $1 million and some odd change in some dollars. So they definitely didn't do bad, that's for sure. But I think this year and last year, I think this kind of wasn't up to what he wanted for his standards. So I think just decided to make some wholesale changes, which is interesting to see because sometimes that helps you or that hurts you. So, but yeah, it definitely seemed like they had some things wrong early on. But I think the last couple of years, I don't think they just weren't there to where they wanted to be. And if you're not happy with it, I think eventually you just have to make changes with it.
Yeah, and obviously that we'll see. Whenever that gets announced, could be tomorrow, could be a month from now, could be 2 months from now. Really, definitely, definitely out there. Sorry, Devin Borden just tweeted out that he doesn't have any plans for 2026. He's looking for a team to run the PA Posse Sprint Series with. So I guess we'll keep it in PA and go there. But new series on tap for 2026, and it's between the 11 kind of central Pennsylvania tracks. It says they're uniting for a groundbreaking $2 million 2026 PA Posse 410 Sprint Series, over $1.8 million in total payouts, plus a $200,000 point fund, announced as the region's top tracks collaborate to strengthen the racing scene. So it sounds like they're going to be working together here. And I'm not just trying to read the headlines and take that. I've read this already, guys, but it sounds to me like they're going to try to collaborate and not schedule against each other. 47 events across the 11 Pennsylvania tracks, including PA Speed Week. Williams Grove and Lincoln Speedway each host 10 races. Port Royal Speedway will hold 9 races. Then BAPS, Selinsgrove, and Raceway Park will host 4 races apiece. Do you know Raceway Park? Is that Bridgeport?
I don't know. I know they listed pretty much every track in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Clinton County Speedway, Path Valley Speedway, Bedford, and Bridgeport each appear twice on the schedule. Hagerstown and Grandview each hosting one event. I'm trying to figure out what Raceway Park would be. It's a big rookie move on me. Okay, let's do process of elimination here. Clinton County, Grandview. Hagerstown? Maybe it's Hagerstown.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of that before.
Now that says Hagerstown Speedway. It could also just be it could just be what Selinsgrove is called. Selinsgrove Speedway and Raceway Park. There's an amperstamp there, or whatever they call that thing. The little squiggly 8 with a line sticking down. I believe it's Selinsgrove, if I had to take a guess. But no, anyway, I think that's super cool for Pennsylvania fans and us. We get to watch it. We're going to we're going to cover that series now. typically we didn't have anyone devoted to watching Central Pennsylvania, and so that's gonna be in the ARD schedule next year. That just means I'm gonna watch it. So not anything too different, but there will be updates and all that throughout the event. So Eric, what do you think about the state of Penn? How jealous are you that they have this many tracks next to each other that they can do something like this? I think we could do something like that in Iowa, but the tracks would have to actually put on a bunch of races.
Yeah, the National Sprint Car League that only lasted a year and maybe 2 years.
Cool logo on them.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for good for state of Pennsylvania for sprint car racing because you only have, definitely don't want your national tour taking, coming in and providing all your big races. So, I mean, it's something that's, I think something that's smart. And I think something for both the drivers and the fans anywhere in Pennsylvania to race with and watch with. So, and it's definitely not short of money too, because I think every feature at least is paying $6,000, which I mean it's not the best, but I mean for a regional sprint car series, I mean that's not bad. But yeah, I think it's a good move overall, and it's nice to see racetracks work together and people work together to make it work. It'd be interesting to see if that keeps some of their Macri, some Dietrich, some maybe Marks if he decides to not do high limit, in the future to stay home and race for some money in Pennsylvania.
And I'm not trying to shoehorn Marks into anything. I believe we'll see him national racing again next year. I believe with high limit. But yeah, again, we'll see. Wait for these things to come out officially. Then we'll find out what they are, I guess. Some sprint car news around here. Carson McCarl is headed to the Iowa Barnstormers number 2 TKS Motorsports ride in 2026. That was announced at the Knoxville Banquet on Saturday night. What do you think of this pairing, Eric? They quite a few drivers in 2025 for TKS, and it has kind of been they've kind of seen a lot of drivers each season since Chase Randall departed.
Yeah, they like they're just trying to fit the right fit for their team, and last year and the year before they kind of went on a more outside the Midwest type of schedule. I wouldn't say national, but they decided this year to go back to racing more Midwest and race Knoxville weekly, which I guess a good move for both for them and all that as well too. I think it's tough racing on a more national type of scale with their team size. So I think it's a good move to go back to Knoxville and race around Midwest. I think that suits them a little bit better. I'm not saying that was a bad choice of going on the national tour or going outside Midwest. I think they had some success with Randall and Elias in a little bit. But yeah, I think it's interesting that they're having Carson drive. Austin drove that car for 2 or 3 years and won a track championship in Knoxville. So they're adding on the other McCarl brother, and I think it's a good fit for both sides. I think Carson's got some sponsorship, and I think obviously the TKS can provide some resources on their side as well too to field a car that can compete for the Knoxville Points Championship.
Yeah, no, I'm with you with everything you said right there, and I can't wait to see it on the track. Now the opposite side of this story, and there's that's sports, right? The rises and falls, the good and the bad, whatever phrase I'm trying to think of in my head, you can picture it. Ian Madsen found out by the press release, which I think stinks. He found out when it was announced on the internet. Like, what do you think of that? What do you think the teams are like? Do you think they owe it to a driver to tell him like you're not coming back next year, or at least have that clearly communicated?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's always two sides to the story. So, honestly, I didn't hear that Ian found out by a press release, but I don't know. Maybe Ian also did drive for a couple different cars at the end of the season down in Texas. Not saying that's the reason why he's not driving the 2KS anymore, but I think um, you know you don't know exactly what happened, you know, communication wise, but if that's the case, I feel like it's probably should at least had a sit down or a phone call or something like that. It's never to find out something about news on social media that you don't know about that involves you.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely with you there, and I wish they had, and I feel bad for Ian that they didn't. That's really all I can say about that. Nothing. I'm not trying to allude on that I know anything else. I'm just trying to pick my words carefully because I don't want to piss anyone off. Couple more silly season news. Just we'll knock them out real quick. Brock Zierfoss is, if I can pronounce names, that would be fantastic. Brock Zierfoss is moving on from the Eichelberger number 8 car to take his own team, Brock Zierfoss Racing, back out on the road. I would think they'd be a contender on that PA Posse series. I don't know if they have plans to go national tour racing. If they do, it'd be cool to see him back on the road. We'll see what they do. Lance DeWeese will move into that number 8 car for 2026. Some other ones, Hank Davis is moving on from the Beaver number 12X car. He's going to replace Tim Schaefer in the Michael Dutcher number 27 car. And then Landon Crawley is moving on from the Johnny Herrera number 45 car. He's going to move to the 12X. They're going to run Power Eye. So a lot of little regional tour driver switches going on just with those guys. Any of those like stick out to you? Hank Davis is I think that's one of the biggest upsets I've watched in dirt racing in my life that I was in person to see. Him winning the Chili Bowl prelim on that Tuesday night in Tulsa, the first year that he won it. He might have two now. But he's a talented driver and a really funny dude to hang out with. So,
Yeah, it was interesting that Davis was kind of jumping from the Beaver car, but I think the opportunity to go more of a 410 racing schedule, even though that 17 GP car has had some bad runs and not as good finishers as well too. Um, but yeah, I mean that was kind of surprising. I felt like, especially after winning the short check nationals with that Beaver 12X car. Um, but Curly moving on from the 45 probably could have been going to the 12. I think that was kind of interesting. But yeah, some definitely just kind of like I go here, and then the driver goes here, and then the driver's looking for a driver. So definitely a lot of ride swapping the last couple weeks.
yeah, you're absolutely right with that. And some more to come everywhere. That's just what the sport is. It gives and it people switch and they keep going. Um, so I'm getting thrown out by the wind. I've never had it to where it's like shaking the door on my apartment, so that's fun and unique. But Kyle Larson has put his name into the entry list for the 2026 Chili Bowl Nationals. He ran the Wild West Shootout instead of the Chili Bowl in 2023. I'm thinking that was 2024. And then this year in 25, he ran the Wild West Shootout and then came back, had a late call to Keith Coons and kind of put his name back into the Chili Bowl, kind of blamed FOMO and came back and raced, and it didn't go great for him. A couple of wrecks, I think, but gonna be fun to see him down there. I don't know if he'll be down there the full week per se, but it'll be fun to see him compete there again.
Yeah, I could probably see him racing the Tulsa shootout too, especially with his kids um, being able to run junior sprints and micros and all that stuff too.
The one thing with that is when high limits Australian races, but I think he could be back for Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that schedule is, but yeah, It'd be nice to kind of see him running that with the tall shootout. Could get another Chris Bell and Larson battle at Tulsa, whether that's in the midget or at the shootout.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's see, a couple other things on the slate. Working on it. World Racing Group, Brian Carter confirmed on an interview with Connor Wade of Third Vision that they will be adding $400,000 to the purse throughout the top 10 for the Outlaws next year. So we haven't seen the whole thing. I believe Dirt Tracker said it's not quite on the level of high limits yet, but it's close where he estimated it, and that there are other payouts for other things like the video game stuff, merch, different deals would kind of push them up to be level. So obviously still, wait and see what it looks like, but good to know that these teams are going to be making even more money next year.
Yeah, I mean, the Outlaws obviously aren't going to let high limit dictate, being the top dog in purse money and all that stuff too. So, with high limit having their charter and all that stuff, it's Outlaws are going to do their deal, whether that's revenue from Dirt Vision or the video game or other funds of money coming into it. It might be paid out differently how high limit is, but I don't think they're going to be short of giving money to drivers.
They get any money based on how many laps I run with one guy. Actually, that was the old version of the game. I was going to say Casey Kane's going to have a lot of money of just me trying to run better laps at Knoxville. Have I told you that story before?
Well, he probably doesn't get the money since he's high limit.
I know. He wouldn't get it now.
Yeah.
No, there's a couple years ago, I sat there on the video game. I had like an hour to kill. And I got the car to drive a lot smoother after like 77 minutes of practice. And I think I ended up 5 or 6 tenths slower than my lap one speed. But I'll tell you, that was the smoothest ride you could possibly imagine, Eric.
Yeah.
Going slower probably did indeed help that.
Sometimes you go slow, you go fast.
Yeah, no kidding. Some big news in the late model side of things. Longhorn factory car will not be the same next year. They are leaving Scott Riggs and Brandon Overton's team. So that 76 car, no longer the Longhorn factory car. No word on where they will go. And this was reported by Justin Fiedler and Dirt Tracker. No word on their destination, but they will not be with them next year. Oh, that's right, Deb. Eric, do you have any thoughts on that?
Not really.
Nothing at all?
No.
Fair enough. How about Trey Mills? 17-year-old.
Yeah, he's been racing
He's been racing for a while.
Racing late model since he was 6 or not 6, 11. Ran 602s, and I think he was like a 604 champion. So, for being 17, he's definitely got 6 years of late model experience. I mean, it's not, your big time traveling type of deal, but yeah, still some pretty good experience.
Yeah, and a kid that's like, all I've done is seen him. I feel like since he got into a late model, all I've done is seen him win. Wherever he's been at, as long as it wasn't a national tour. So that's obviously a harder thing to accomplish than a regional late model race, or a non-national race, however you would categorize it. But he's all he's done is impress. He's going to be with the World of Outlaws late models at least to start the season next year. I'm excited. I'm excited to see him there. Last thing too with the Lucas schedule. A lot of fans have called it boring. A lot of fans have said it looks too similar. I don't know if you've gotten to get a great look at it. It is very similar. It is kind of boring in terms of a schedule release. But they do come to Iowa. I'm very excited for that. What do you think with racing schedules that they're working fine, but, do you want to see them explore and do different things?
I feel like it's always good to change up your racetrack sometimes. But if you have a business model and it's working fine, I think there's no reason to really change it. I think the nice thing is they moved the Silver Dollar Nationals over to Shelby County Speedway. That racetrack seemed to have pretty good races the last couple of years. So it's gonna be interesting. They're gonna get both a high limit sprint car race and then also one of the bigger late model races on the schedule. So it's hopefully they're prepared for it and will go well. But yeah, making a couple trips to Iowa. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of late model racing happening in Iowa this year between the Outlaws pretty much having a mini Iowa Speed Week, and then late models going to 34 Raceway, Adams County Speedway, Shelby County Speedway, and then obviously Knoxville for the late model nationals. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see getting both sides of it. So might have to hit up that Adams County show and see what that's all about.
We'll go together. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to play the theme song and then we'll put Matt in here. All right, there we go. What's up, Matt? How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, pretty good.
Fantastic.
Good.
Couldn't be better.
Yeah.
I heard you have good things to say about Eric Bridger. I didn't introduce. Okay. Staple of Knoxville Raceway, third generation driver, well heralded team owner in the 410 division and 360 division at Knoxville Raceway. It's Matt Moro, everybody.
You're not going to mention track champion or what?
Thanks.
I figured you wouldn't want to. He's too humble of a guy. He would definitely scoff at me if I brought up track championships.
Those were a long time ago. We got to earn new ones now.
So my buddy, little birdie, told me that you had good things to say about Eric Bridger and his career, and Eric doesn't brag about himself, so I was wondering if you could do it for us.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, Eric, heck of a talent. Wish you would have stuck at it a little bit longer because I think you were just about ready to break through in that 360 class. But yeah, man, jumped right in a sprint car and was badass right off the start.
I've been trying to get Eric back in a car. Eric, yeah, you take it. Go for it.
No, that's all good. Yeah, I appreciate it, Matt. But yeah, it was pretty awesome to jump into it, 17, 18, and jump right out of the gate and do pretty well. But yeah, I would have wished the 360 deal would have a little bit different, but that's the way it goes sometimes. And just got to stick with it and go with the punches and do what you can.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough sport.
Oh, you're good. I'm also, can you guys hear the wind in the background?
I went down in the basement for that reason.
Dude, I don't have a basement. I wish I did. It's shaking my door like behind me. It's going back and forth on the hinges. No, Matt, I have a couple of things I got to ask you in a bit, but the thing we do ask every driver that comes on here that I like to, whenever we ask it, I don't like to start with it always, but if you could change any rule in sprint car racing, what would it be and why?
Most of the rule book. I mean,
okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, they just keep adding these rules and man, it doesn't change. I understand safety rules. Safety rules, let's leave those in there because from when I started driving to today, man, the lifestyle a driver can live in later years is so much better. I had probably about 6-7 years of the old seats, no Hans device. And now you can get in one of these things, crash them pretty hard, and 99% of the time walk away. Back then, man, it hurt. It hurt for days and weeks after you crashed one. So, it's just one of those deals. I don't know. They don't include the drivers, the owners, the crew members on making these rules. It's just the sanctioning bodies that decide they're smarter than everybody else and do it. And some of them are good, some are not. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it, I think.
Yeah, that's what we have you on here to do. Like, run your mouth on anything you want to. So if there's anything you want to bring to the table, go for it. Eric, what do you got for Matt? Eric, I have a bunch of fun questions for you, and tell me this story and tell me about this time. But yeah, Eric, let's get me to do the pressing stuff first.
Sounds good. So the last couple of years, Matt, you've went from just doing 360 racing, a little bit of dabble in the 410 stuff. How has the last couple of years been like that, doing kind of the full-time 360 and the 410?
Shaking a little bit, but not terrible.
Oh, it's been a great transition for me. I love it. I got out of the seat, not necessarily because I wanted to or because I got slow. I mean, I still was competitive there at the end. I wasn't as competitive as I would like to have been, but that's all of us. We're all racers, and unless we win every race and set quick time every night, we're never as good as we want to be. But I had to get out. I took a ride and I got a little bit of a head injury. I got my eye screwed up in the thing. I have hardly any peripheral vision on my right side. I raced about 1.5 years after it, and I just didn't feel as comfortable as I did, especially running the cushion. My depth perception was off. So I jumped out of it, and I didn't have any intention of continuing with a team. I had loaned an engine to the Heskins for the 360 Nationals, and at the end of the season, I'm getting the engine back from him, and we start talking, and he said he was retiring. He's way too young to retire. There's no reason for that. I have a reason. I'm old, and he's not. So we started talking, and he just said he couldn't work on him anymore. It was too big of a commitment, the time during the week with 3 girls at that time and a 4th one coming soon, that he just needed to step away on that end of it. So I still love working on him. That is one of my favorite things, and had been probably the last 15 years of me racing. I just love working on these cars. So we put a deal together, and I came out there opening night, not knowing what to expect. Practice night got rained out. It was so busy. I didn't have time to think about why I'm not on the seat, to be down on myself, to be anything but excited. And it was so rewarding watching someone else drive the car and get to see what other people get to see. You don't get to see that from the pit area or from the driver's seat. And then as a driver, I blocked most everything out. I mean, I couldn't tell you what happened lap after lap after lap. I could just tell you I felt this, but it wasn't that I remembered everything on the track. Well, now I do, because I'm sitting there watching that car go around there every single lap, every single corner. And then Davey drove for me for 2 years. That was absolutely awesome. Created a great friends and family through that deal. Butch, Sam, Davey's girls are all just really awesome to be around, and still talk to all of them still to this day. And then Davey decided it was time to retire. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And Ryan Giles was going to retire. So there we go. So put a deal together with Ryan Giles, because he wasn't able to work on it. Again, 3 kids at that time, 4th one coming here soon. So there's kind of a theme there. These kids take up a lot of time and a lot of money. And, Ryan just needed to get more family time. So that's where that came from. And then I put a deal together with Dennis Albaugh as a sponsor. And once Dennis Albaugh came aboard, then that's when I decided to do the second car last year with JJ Hickle. And what a great friend he has turned into. I mean, all these guys have turned into absolutely awesome friends, and wouldn't change it for the world.
And a really major upset with JJ signing the drive for Matt Moro and not having 4 children.
Well, yeah. At least we don't think he does. We're not sure yet.
No, I think one of the things, especially, so when I do prep for interviews, I go back and watch interviews like I've done with you, and I know we're good friends. I don't need to do all that. But I remember when Davey qualified for nationals and just the elation on your face, like you're a pretty stoic guy. What did that mean to you looking back on it now that you've had, however long of time, 3 years to reflect on just that night and qualifying for nationals in the last minute and the most clutch performance you could probably dream of putting up?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I won 410 races. I won 360 races. I won prelim night at 360 nationals, second in the 360 nationals. None of that compares to that night with Davey. That was the greatest night in all of my racing, absolutely by far. Was so pumped up. We came out not good. I mean, there was no chance we were going to make that show. We barely made it through the heat race into the A main. And then for Davey to do what Davey does, he's kind of the tortoise and the hare scenario. He just starts off a little slower. And then, my goodness, does he hit that bottom? And he hits that bottom every lap. And he just gets more of a rhythm, more of a routine down there. And you can't count him out. And that was one of the perfect nights. We passed Parker Price Miller, I think with 5 to go to take the final transfer into Saturday night's A main. And, I've done this a long time and I've never made the A main for the 410 nationals. And that was huge, absolutely huge. And it was really big for our team. Our team was just a bunch of volunteers. No one did this. No one got paid. No one did it for a living. Davey wasn't getting paid. I mean, Davey just did it for the love of driving. And for us to do that, we were, I think, one of the only cars to make that A feature that raced for fun, not for a living.
It's crazier every time you tell the story, and what a crazy night, and blessed to be a part of it. And then obviously this year with JJ and Ryan Giles, I assume they're coming back now, retiring, right?
Absolutely. Yep. We're prepping right now for both of them guys. Got cars torn apart, got engines sent out, got parts and pieces ordered, just ready to put everything back together.
What's the most challenging part of the off season?
The organizing, just getting everything. You can't just get an engine back. You can't send it to your engine builder and they have it back to you in my mind, a reasonable amount of time. But I mean, it takes a while to get parts and pieces. And then there's so many other things that they have going on. They're not just doing my engine. So, that's the thing that I struggle with. And I start getting a little anxiety, a little nervous. We start getting into February, March, and we don't have engines yet. And so then you get nervous about that. But, that's the only thing. Everything else goes very smooth. I assemble the cars myself. I enjoy assembling the cars. My race shop's right here at my house. And, if I'm not tired, I want to go work on the race car till 3 a.m, I do. If I want to get up early before I go to work and go work on the race car, I do. So it makes it nice for me.
I love that, especially the 3 a.m. part. I was texting a couple of people like, hey, give me your best Matt Moro story. And Blake Anderson was like, oh, well, I heard he just goes home and then works on his race car and then goes to bed and just works on it till the sun comes up. And I think it just shows the passion that you have and also the brain that you have, that you're just like, the car's there, I'll go work on it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not a big sleeper. When I get worn down, I'll go to sleep and I'll sleep like a normal person. But a lot of times, Saturday night after the races, even still to this day, I don't know why I have so much adrenaline, but I do. And I just stay up. I don't go to bed. We wash the race cars after the races. Now that I'm staying down at the track, it's not like it was, because I would get everything unloaded when we got back here, whether it would be 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we would unload everything. And then you always are driving down the road thinking about what went on that night. And it's like, oh, shoot, I better check the ring gear and pinion. I better do this, better do that. So before you forget to do that stuff, you just do it right then. And then, you go in, sleep a few hours, and then go back at it.
Absolutely. And then obviously we'll have a beer or two after races on Saturday nights. Josh Betts asks, has there ever been a Saturday in Knoxville that you get tired of Connor enjoying beverages with you in the crowd?
Just when we run out of beverages, then it's like, oh,
usually my fault, and then I got to be the one that goes and gets them. So
right,
which is fine, which is completely fine. Send me whenever you need.
No. Yeah. No, with a cork sponsorship, we don't run out much.
That's right. No, some great memories, and I still love those drinks. That's the only seltzer I've ever not gotten tired of drinking.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll start with the fun stuff. We'll get into things. I heard that your first paint scheme was a ripoff of the Jeff Gordon Rainbow scheme, but it was purple instead of blue. And I'm pissed as all hell that you've never mentioned this to me one time.
Yeah.
You got a koozie dedicated to that paint scheme.
Yep, absolutely. So it started off years before this, before I even started. It was the year before my dad was racing it. So it would have been 95. I painted my dad's race cars. I loved this racing. I was 16 years old and I painted his race car, and we wanted to do it sort of Rainbow Warrior-ish. My dad has had a big body shop, and all they used was DuPont paint, and when he was sponsored a little bit by DuPont. So we decided to kind of do a little bit of a kickback to that DuPont Rainbow Warrior deal, but we used purple instead of the blue, and it wasn't as many stripes, and the way we did it was just different. So my dad's car was mainly red, and then the top wing was purple. Well, as I decided, when I decided we were going racing with me, I started putting my car together and I flip-flopped it. I did purple body with the red top wing. So I wanted to be opposite of my dad's, but you could tell they were the same team. Well, my dad liked mine well enough that for his last year in 96, he wanted to do the same paint scheme. So our cars were identical there at the end.
That's awesome. I love that. I will always love that scheme, not because of the gay thing. That was just coincidence. When I was 3 or 4, that scheme going around was fantastic.
Yeah.
Another one of mine is the Kinzer Quaker State. Do you have like a top 3, top 4 paint schemes that you've appreciated in your racing history?
Absolutely. I hate to admit it, but the Sammy Swindell TMC car, and not to do with TMC, to do with Sammy. That car to me is the most iconic, best looking race car that's ever hit the track. It was plain, it was simple, it was clean and classy. And that is one of my favorite paint schemes ever. And I'm fortunate enough to have a sideboard off of one of those cars. I've got quite a few sideboards over the years. You just kind of collect this stuff. And so I'm
looking for a Matt Moro one to put up there.
I'll get you one. I've got a few of them. I tore up enough stuff that there's sideboards that, trust me.
Beautiful. Heck yeah. Eric, I don't. Oh, go ahead. You're good.
No, so and you're right. The Steve Kinzer Quaker State was absolutely one of the better looking cars. I go back a long ways, and Brad Doty's cars in the 18 was awfully neat. Any Bob Trossel car, the orange Vice Grip 20 stuff, those were just, I like those looks. We got a little too wild with our stuff here in the last few years to where I didn't even like my own car. And Brad Reynolds, a good friend of mine, him and I always talk about it. And, we got way too much on my car, and it got way too many outlines and colors in this. So last year we actually tried simpling it up a lot. I don't know if we went far enough, but it definitely was better. So I like the more simple looks.
Yeah, and I was surprised at your look last year. I always expect more color than that, and you went the same color as the Blackhawks, who are the same color as the Nazis, the red, white, and black.
Absolutely.
But same colors as the Blackhawks. I'm not comparing you.
Yeah.
I feel bad when we get in some of these interviews because I don't let Eric get a question. Eric, please talk over me.
This is usually how it goes. Connor just sits there and talks. I just listen.
It's a fault of mine.
Yeah. So a question for you, Matt. Obviously you've been in the driver's seat now. You've been in the owner, crew chief type of side of role. How's it like working with different types of drivers? You have Heskin, Giles, and Hickel. Has there been any challenges working with those drivers, or has it been pretty much simple and just adjusting to their feel and their preferences of driving in Knoxville or around any inner track?
Oh, absolutely. It's challenging every time. Every night is challenging, and every driver is challenging. Like right now, I have two of the most opposite drivers you could ever get in the world. I've got Ryan Giles, who is an introvert. He not really social at all. He's not a guy to complain about anything. He gets in and he drives and he does one heck of a job. And he's so smooth and non-aggressive of a driver. And then on the other end, I got JJ Hickel. JJ Hickel is very boisterous. He's stands on the gas to the point he is wild in that car. Not bad way, but I mean, he is aggressive. He doesn't usually get himself into too many bad positions, but he is very aggressive. He will use every inch of that racetrack. He goes high, he'll go low. Where Ryan, you can pretty much bet Ryan's going to be low on that track or trying to make the middle work. And then when I had Davey Heskin was more as JJ's personality, but Ryan's driving, where he was always just the inside berm, and he ran that berm and ran that berm and ran that berm. So I've had to learn how these guys drive and learn what they like and what they don't like. And, one driver, he'll like to get talked to as soon. He don't even get out of the car and we start discussing. The other one needs to get out, go up, get a water, get his face wiped off, think for a few seconds, say a few choice words if it's not a good night, and then come back and we'll talk about it. So, I mean, you just have to learn their personalities and learn what they like, because they're the ones in the seat. So you got to make them comfortable. And if they're comfortable on the track, off the track, it makes everything work better.
And duration. Oh, sorry. You can't do that.
No, you're fine.
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about the 360 class.
Do it. I was going to give a shout out to the guy in the comments. Duration Podcast. Hello. If you guys have any questions or anything for Matt, shoot them our way. We read all of them. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. So in the 360 class, that's kind of used to be the worker man's type of, work on Monday through Friday, race on Saturday. Now it seems like the competition is getting more and more intense as throughout the year. So I just want to see what your thoughts are on the current state of 360 racing at Knoxville.
Yeah, it's strong. It's actually probably too strong is what's going on. There's going to be a point where we start losing some cars because there's such a solid B main every single night there. Mm-hmm. And it's very discouraging if you're one of those guys that gets stuck in that B main. And the top 10 in an A main, a lot of these guys are doing it for a living. They're racing for a living. They're running double duty. They're coming down to Knoxville from like Sam Hafertine every once in a while will show up. And, it just makes it tough in that class. I would tell you that class is probably the toughest class out there right now. And I always have, because the engines, there's not a big split in the engines. I would tell you the top 20 in any A feature could win a race there. It's just circumstances, how you draw, everything about it. It makes it tough. Now, you create your own luck. I do believe that. And you have to overcome those draws. And that's one of the things that we work really hard on. And there's some guys that are really good at it. Doesn't matter what they draw. And that's what we're all trying to figure out how to do. So that class is tough. It's really, really tough. It's strong right now. I don't know how many weekly at what we average, but it had to be in the low 30s for a weekly car count in that 360 class.
Yeah, it's ever growing, especially with the Booster Club and what they do. And I think it's really unique and cool what Knoxville does for the 360 class. And I know you're a unique guy with goals. What would you say this is probably a bad question by me, but what are your goals for 2026, aside from bring the car home in one piece and go to the track and have fun? What would a win mean to you?
Oh, a win means a ton to you. I mean, that's what we do this for, is to try and get wins. We were in a little bit of a lull with Ryan. We haven't won a race yet, but we're close. We've ran second multiple times. We've led laps. We've had bad luck.
Damn close I want to say the last 6 or 7 times you guys ran last year, like top 5 running the entire race, if not finishes there.
Absolutely. And Ryan's capable of it. And we have an engine program that's capable of winning. The cars are good. We just got to get a whole night put together a little bit better, and we'll be fine. I don't set those unrealistic goals. That's not anything that does anybody any good, to say we're going to go out here and we're going to win 6 features this year. We're going to win the points. We're going to do this. And those are our goals. That would take a lot of fun out of this, because at the end of the year, you set these goals and you didn't get to them. Let's have realistic goals. Let's go out there and try and improve every night. And let's go out there and, Connor, you said it, keep the car in one piece. Well, that's not even necessarily a goal, because that's why we have spare parts. We're okay tearing up some stuff from time to time, but let's go out there and give it our all. I'm going to try and make sure I have all the right pieces underneath that car all night, all year, for both my drivers. And those guys give it their all every single night. We don't give up, and the driver never gives up, not in my camp anyways. And, everybody has fun, because if we don't have fun, it's not worth doing this, because I go to work every day to make enough money to buy parts to put these cars on the track. Well, you know what? I could have a lake house. I wouldn't have to do this if I wasn't having fun, but a lake house is not what I want to do right now. I want to go racing. I want to go racing every week.
Do you have any good Carson Macedo stories from the lake house?
Well, the only one I can tell you is the guy's like a fish. We lost a phone at the end of the dock at Lake of the Ozarks, and it was probably, 18 foot deep right there. And Carson Macedo dove down, and Lake of the Ozarks is not a clean lake. You can't see the bottom. You can't even see when you're right down in there. But he dove down, and he came up with a flip-flop the first time, dove down the second time, came up with the phone, and that was pretty impressive for him to be able to go down there, dive that deep, and feel around onto the bottom of a lake bed and be able to pull up the guy's phone. So, and Carson, there's a lot of stories with Carson. Carson's just fun to hang out with. He's a great guy. The night that Carson was hanging out with us, we had Spencer Baston at the lake with us. We had Clyde Nip. It was a good group of guys. It was fun. Everybody was having a few beverages. So much fun.
I'm so excited to see Spencer in the Stenhouse car. Eric, do you have other questions for Matt too? There's a delay of about 2.5 seconds, and you can see it. So if you're listening, I apologize. And part of that's my shitty internet that I pay $70 a month for, and it still ends up shitty. But Eric, you got anything else too? I've got plenty more, Matt. I promise we're not close to done.
Oh, great.
Yeah. This is not going to 1 o'clock in the morning, though. Trust me.
No kidding.
I was just curious to see what your thoughts were this year at Knoxville. It seemed like the berm was a lot higher than it has been in the past. Do you think
Good question, Eric.
Do you think that's better for the racing side of it, or do you kind of want to see it back to where it was before, like a couple years ago?
Well, it depends. Yeah. If I have Davey Heskin in my car, I want it the way it was. But but the guys I have now, it don't matter. So
right.
I think it created good racing. I think last year's track was better than the previous year, and I know the previous year it was all new dirt on there, and it took just a little bit for them to figure that out. And they try hard all night, every night. It's not like they didn't want the track to be good. They wanted it to be great, and they worked really hard on making it great. And you could tell their hard work paid off. They moved things around on the track, and 2025 was a far better racing surface, I think, for everybody than 2024 was. I do like the old dirt, but this stuff's coming around. So, that inside berm it would never have bothered me as a driver. I didn't run it. I wasn't even close to that inside berm. Those guys can flounder around down there. I'm not even going to be anywhere near it. I'm going to be clear up top where it's fun and let the thing eat.
How difficult is it, getting accustomed to new dirt when you have such little information as we do in the sport, especially when new dirt gets brought in?
Oh, it changes everything, but that shows you the ones that can get it are the best. I mean, you'll have people that it doesn't even affect them. They just go on. They can see, like a Paul Silva, Ricky Warner. Those guys are so good at figuring that stuff out. And Philip Dietz, you can give them any surface and they've seen it all. They've been through it all. So they know exactly what to do, where I struggled a little more with it. And it took us a little while to figure out what we needed to do to our car, but it is quite a bit different. We are running a different gear on the track than what we even were, because we don't have the grip we once did. So, it's a lot of change, different staggers, different turns. We were big on reverse split, and then we got away from it because of the dirt. So, there's changes. And I'm not a big wholesale change guy. I like little changes, just make little things and we'll inch up on it. Well, unfortunately, our season's so short that you really don't want to do that and you shouldn't do that. But, that's just the way we do it. And, I need to get a little more confident that we can make some bigger changes.
Absolutely. So the Chili Bowl Nationals coming up in 2026. We'll be down there. Chris Weiser, going to see him down there, and I think I'm going to be ending up in a hotel room with Brad Reynolds for the week. But you have gone for what, like 20, 30 years, and you're going to Australia this year instead. Take me through that decision. What are you doing down there? I say decision as if this is like an official thing that you're racing. You're just going as a fan anyway.
Yeah, I'm going as a fan, going to races. And we have a wedding to attend down there. So, that's the reason why we're going. Ended up getting some really good friends over the years, the Foster family. Brad Foster came over here and raced Bob Trossel and Larry Weeks' car years and years ago. And then he came back another time and rented a car from me and raced at Knoxville for the Nationals and everything. Had a great time with those guys. Well, then I got to know Brad's brother, Anthony, and his fiance, Sam, are some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And, they come and stay at our house, and, they have a little daughter now, Bailey, who is just fun. And my daughter loves watching little kids. So my daughter and Bailey are buddies, and my wife and Sam got along good, and we drink a lot of beer together and we hang out in the shop, and it's just a good time. And they're engaged and they're getting married and asked us if we'd come to the wedding. And so there we go. We're going to the wedding. And of course, as true race fans, their wedding's planned around the Classic and the state title there in Australia. So we'll go to the Classic during the weekend before their wedding. They get married on a Wednesday, and then Friday we go to the state title for the other big race there in Australia. So it's going to be a blast. But I'm a little nervous about missing the Chili Bowl because it's been seriously 18 years. We did skip the COVID year. But other than that, it was 18 years we've been at that. And I love that place. It's so much fun. It's, it's when you're a racing addict, that's the place to go, because you're going to watch more races there than anywhere else in the world you can watch races. So, I'm sure I'll be tuning into it most or all the time.
Yeah, it's next to the nicest Hooters in the world too, down the street.
That is, yep. Hooters every single night after the races. It seems like that's where we end up. But then again, that's about the only place open besides just regular bars. And so we have a couple of the older guys that go with us, and they don't want to go to the dance club bars. So, and I'm now one of those older guys, so we go to Hooters every night.
It's just as entertaining for me sitting there at 26 years old, 27, whatever I am now. What's the craziest story you have that includes the Chili Bowl? And it can be on track, off track, whatever.
Oh, if anybody's ever been to the Elephant Run, they would know what the craziest stories would be, and that'd be any night at the Elephant Run. But Yeah, the Chili Bowl is what you want to make it. You can go to the Chili Bowl and absolutely have the wildest, craziest parties, nuts. You can have that, or you can go other places and just have more of a relaxing time and go watch some races. So it's whatever you want to make it. And we started off being a little more of the wild partying type at the beginning, and then now we've definitely settled way, way down. And we're home after we eat a little bit at Hooters after the races and have a few beers, and we go home and we watch old movies and shit like that on the TV. So yeah, it's what you want of it.
I love that. Josh has a question. He says, does Matt have any stories of Connor that are fit for the podcast?
I don't know.
You can tell whichever one. I don't care.
No, there was one I was pretty embarrassed about when at the Nationals when you introduced me to someone. And I
won't tell that one. That's okay. I mean, you apologize still to way too much because I love it. So
I'll just caught me off guard. Just caught me a little off guard. So yeah,
it catches everybody off guard.
You're right. So no, I mean, I'll tell you, we just have a good time. It's always fun in the pits after the races. That's where we get to wind down. And that's, we're one of the last cars to leave every single night. And we end up getting a lot of people just hanging out down there, and we turn the music on and we just have the drinks out there. And, years ago, I was driving the truck and trailer home, so I wouldn't drink. Or if I did, I had a beer and then we were done. But now that I stay at the campground, now I can have a few of the beers, and I have a good time at it. It never gets too wild down there in the pit area. Otherwise John McCoy would kick us out. He would tell us we can't do this anymore. But it's fun. It's our relaxation. It's just a good end to the night, and a thank you to everybody that came down.
No, I want to thank you for doing it because it's so much fun to be a part of and just be down there with you guys. And Josh also says it's a great time. I'm sure he says hi as well. But he really appreciates you. Kind of last thing, we'll be close to wrapping up here. Why do they call you Murdoch?
So I got that Murdoch name when I was 5 years old, and it's everything comes full circle. I was at the go-kart races in Derby, Iowa. My dad was racing go-karts, and Brett Moyer, my boss at Carl Chevrolet to this day, Brett Moyer was there racing go-karts, and I'm playing in the dirt with my little Matchbox cars. And Brett walks by and he says, "What are you doing, Matt?" And I said, playing the A team. And he says, "The A team? Oh, who are you on the A team?" And I said, "I'm Mr. T." And he said, "Bullshit, you're Murdoch, if anybody." So you guys are young enough, you probably don't know much of the A team. But Murdoch was the wild, crazy, kamikaze guy that they broke out of psychiatric ward. And he was a wiry little guy, and that was me when I was younger. And so I was just, they would tell me to go do something, and I would do it. So that's where I got Murdoch from, and it stuck. I mean, that's how they announced me at Knoxville my first few years of racing. And then my dad's like, "Hey, maybe we need to get rid of that one and just go with Matt instead of Murdoch." So yeah, it was on the side of my cars and everything.
I don't. Eric, do you know the A team?
I do not.
I know the Family Guy remake of the A team, and I was going to ask you which one of the characters you were, but I'm not sure if any of the characters were Murdoch.
Oh, I think they're still I didn't watch the new one, so yeah. I think Channel 8, 8.1, whatever that is on the TV, Me TV, they every once in a while will throw the old A-Team shows on there. It was an early 80s show. It was pretty good for back in the day.
Okay, we got one more from the Dirt Racing Podcast. He said, "Was your first 360s win during the 2000 Nationals in June?"
No, that would have been my first 360 win. I had won a couple of races before then at Knoxville. I think I won a weekly show. No, I didn't. So that was my first 360 win at Knoxville, but I'd won some other ones. I won at Cresco, won at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, Oski. I'd won maybe a handful of races before that, but 2000 was my breakout year. led opening night there at Knoxville in the 410 class, and I raced 410 weekly. But that opening night, I led that thing to the last lap, and I screwed up a little bit. I choked is what I did. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I got behind a lap car, and I was way too cautious. And I let Terry McCarl by me, and he won the race, and I got second. But I think I backed it up the next week with winning my first 410 race. And then I won another 410 race there in June. Then I went out there and won the 360 prelim night at the 360 Nationals. And, you know, I've never seen that race. I sure would like to be able to go back and look at it, because we started on the pole and we ran away with it just because of the inverts they have there. But what it did was we were at the tail of the 360 Nationals final night. And I don't know where we started, if we started 12th, 14th, 16th, somewhere in there. And we came up to second and got alongside Wayne Johnson on the last lap, just to sneak in there to second. And Wayne won that thing. And it was a big weekend for us, real big weekend.
All right. I love it. Hey, Matt, stay on here for a second. I'm going to say bye to everybody, and we're going to get Matt on again. So actually, I would have had probably more questions to Matt of like, oh, tell me this story, tell me that one. And my usual contacts that I get stories from were like, well, he's too much of a gentleman. There's not really anything that's really funny. He's just very respectable, super nice. And
I don't know about
because
that.
I know you are very funny. But yeah, that is exactly, it's quintessential Matt. So I will do more digging before the next time you come on here, and I will have better stories to ask you about. I got plenty of friends with secondary sources. We're gonna have a lot of time. Brad wants the next episode live from Hooters. That's no chance, Brad, because he's not there. But maybe next year at Chili Bowl. Oh, the power's flashing. That's not fucking good. Okay. We'll end the stream. Thank you guys for listening. Matt, stay on here. I got a question for you. But
absolutely
appreciate all you guys. Enjoy the week, and hopefully the USAC race is going good. We'll see you guys next week.